What's up, guys? Ben here, bringing you another video today. It is time. It's Monday. You know, it's time for the tier list. We had our Minor 2 tournament this weekend. Shout out to LA Thieves. They were your winner over the Vancouver Surge in the grand finals. We had some upsets. We had some fun results. We got a pretty good feel of where the teams rank 1 through 12. A couple of teams in really good spots, really looking like contenders through the rest of the year. And a couple of teams, well, not looking so good. So let's dive through all 12 teams and I'll give you my thoughts on where they stand on the tier list. All right, so if you are new to the tier list thing, this is kind of how I do it. I don't do the letter thing. We start with the teams at the top of the class. Right now, those are your top 2 teams. It might be a third team we add to this. Might put them in the tier below. I've not decided yet. Sunday regulars are the rest of your top 4 teams. Fighting for Sundays are sort of the mid pack of the really good quality teams who I think have a real opportunity to get top 3 or top 4 in a given tournament, but I expect likely to get top 6 or worse if they get a bad matchup. I don't know. I mean, that one's pretty explanatory. These are teams that aren't very good and they are like the worst teams. Probably need a roster change. Usually have one big flaw. We'll get to the teams in this category in a second. And then missing pieces. Yeah, these teams need a roster change, blow it up. Word to Patrick Price, pack a punch, whatever. They are not that good. All right, first up, Vegas Falcons. 3-1 versus OpTic. They took the control, but yeah. That's about it. Lost on their game. Didn't win hard points. Lost around 11 S&D. Probably a world where this could have gone to game 5. I don't know. But until they win a series, until they win a hard point, I'm not spending more than 20 seconds on these guys in a video. Los Angeles Guerrillas, actually, you know, a somewhat fun weekend for them. I don't know. They beat Miami in a game 5. Actually won 2 S&Ds in that series. Not sure what was up with that with Miami. We'll get to them in a bit. And, you know, it was a pretty good showing from the LAG team, but then they ran to Carolina and kept it somewhat close. But again, I think a bad series from Priesta and just general some poor team play. And this is where they're kind of at, bro. They're not very good, man. Yeah, you won a series against Miami. So be it. I think these guys are destined to dead last again. Until they make a systemic change to their team, I'm just kind of leaving them in this category because they are not very good. Cloud9 to Vegas, Atlanta Thieves and OpTic, coming up. They are 0-3. So if they win all 4, you know, I guess they make winners bracket. If they win 3, maybe they get lucky, but no. These guys are losers bracket. It seems like for Major 2. Boston Breach. I want to be higher on Boston Breach. Yes, they did lose in the first round of this tournament, but they lost to Vancouver Surge. And it was like a decently close series. They took the Skyline S&D off of Vancouver. Obviously, that map seems to be a bit of an issue for Vancouver. Look at the grand finals. The vault was pretty close on the control, but the hard points I thought were pretty clean from Vancouver. And I just don't see how Boston can in every series kind of keep up with what is a pretty clear AR slaying difference on this Boston team. I just think at this point, yeah, they could make a little bit of a run, maybe surprise in sort of a top 6 situation at the upcoming major, because they are 2-2 at the moment of the qualifiers. Thieves phase in Miami, I think they can figure out a way to win one of those, probably against Miami, and sneak in, but it's probably going to be like Thieves phase or Vancouver round 1. They get smoked. Maybe they win a losers bracket match. I think at best you're getting top 8, and I really think that this is a AR roster change situation. I don't think Purge is playing incredible, but I wouldn't really mess with the sub duo right now. You need to find a way to get more slaying out of their ARs, because their ARs are just getting diffed in like every series they play this split, and honestly, through most at times of Major 1. So that's the missing pieces category. I think all of these teams definitely need a roster change. I got to move another team down this category. It's time to talk about them. OpTic Texas. I am pretty much out on this group of 4 right now. I just think, you know, when you reflect on how this Minor 2 tournament rather went for them, where they beat Falcons, probably could have gone to a game 5 there, and then they got choke slammed by Toronto Ultra. I mean, map 2 and map 3 were decently close, but OpTic made some real fumbles in that third map. The Hacienda of round 11. I guess we can kind of talk maybe a little bit about that. I don't know, bro. They don't seem to have it to be able to take a map off of any team that's not Vegas. And I don't know how you look at this team and want to keep running the same lineup out and out when they're going 0-4 against every like real team in the CDL. So I'm pretty much in a situation where I think the obvious move is to kind of just replace Ken with someone. Maybe bring Kyler Hook back in, and you see what happens the rest of the split. But they are 0-3, and they have to absolutely run the table in these upcoming matches against Miami, Toronto, LA Thieves, and LAG to have a chance to make winners bracket. Because would it be disappointing for them to start losers bracket at their home event? It would definitely be pretty disappointing. These guys have fallen so far down this list, and I'm in team roster change So now it's time to make a move. All right, the I don't know category is probably going to stay some version of this. Miami, we just talked about their series losing to LAG. It's been kind of a mixed bag, this split for them. They haven't looked that great against teams that are not named LAG, but they've only played 4 games in this split because they had 3 and they have 4 after this tournament. So I want to kind of reserve more thoughts on them until after I see them play OpTic in Vancouver this weekend and then Carolina and Boston next weekend. I think this could potentially teeter into a maybe Super should come back in the lineup situation, but I just don't know yet. They're just not that good, and I just don't see them repeating the top 3 from the last event, but who knows? But at the moment, they're definitely a I don't know candidate for sure. Let's talk about the next I don't know team, and I think I'm going to move them up to Fighting for Sundays because I think they're better than the I don't know situation that Miami's in, and that's Cloud9, because they were pretty good before this tournament. Had a great series to open up the minor versus Minnesota. They battled, won 2 S&Ds. They looked pretty comfortable in the game mode, but lost map 3 and map 4. So I like that they kind of bought against a potential reverse sweep in that series. And then they did end up losing to LA Thieves, taking first map, and then just kind of let Thieves get in second, third, and then fourth gear in that series. And then they seem to have kind of tilted after they tossed away at times that second map. That vault, I think, was potentially winnable if they didn't scam a few of those rounds. So I think there's some potential with this Cloud9 team. And I think they're starting to round into a shape where I won't be surprised if they back into a really good placing at Major 2. They do have an interesting schedule. LAG and Carolina this week. So I think 1-1 is definitely on the cards. And Atlanta face to close out this split. So I think right now with them currently 3-1, they're probably going to be a winner's bracket team. And we'll just kind of see the matchup and see if they can make it to winners round 2. But I think C9 are halfway decent, and I want to move them up a category. All right, I'm going to, for the sake of trying to clean this up, I'm going to adjust and move it up like this so I can kind of do the teams. I can kind of do the teams in the order I sort of want to talk about them, which is this. And I think this is probably where our ratings are going to net right now with the, kind of power rankings. So let's dive into Minnesota Rokkr. I think when we talk about this team, because I think they're decent, we have to talk about, I think what's holding them back is the map pool issues. So if you look at Hardpoint, for example, these guys are excellent on Vault Hardpoint, but you see these other maps other than Hacienda, like the 1-4 on Red Card, 3-7 on Skyline. Yeah, the protocol and Hacienda records have gotten better over time, but these guys have 2 Hardpoint maps that are not their best, and they're going to end up probably playing one of them per a series. And I think the S&D is like even worse, because you see they're 6-1 on Vault, 5-1 on Hacienda. But on the flip side, they're 0-5 on Protocol, 1-4 on Red Card, and 1-1 on Skyline. Like, they're just in a position where they need one more quality map in Hardpoint S&D, and I think these guys take a real step up in quality as a team. So they're like just on the precipice, I think, and that's why I kind of enjoy watching them. Yeah, maybe you can make the argument that down the line, maybe after the split, you think about bringing Fellow in, and maybe it kind of cleans some of it up. But for now, for Rokkr, they're in the med pack. They're fighting for a champs qualification. They're in a good spot with the right type of draw, the right type of conditions to get a good placing in the event. But I think their floor is also low because of the map pool issues. They are 3-1 in this split, but they have a very difficult stretch here. FaZe, Thieves, in Vancouver. Rokkr have to play, I think, the top 3 teams in the league over the next 2 weeks. So I won't be surprised if these guys really limp into the tournament. But winning any one of those series will be a massive confidence booster for them to try and get a decent winners bracket seed and kind of progress as a squad. Toronto Ultra. This is kind of the most disappointing team for me, I think, throughout the season. Them and OpTic are probably tied in that, to be honest, thinking that through. But Toronto's just kind of treading water this split. They were 2-2 going into this with nice wins against Carolina and Boston, but losses in a 3-0 fashion at Thieves and Cloud9. And then and then this tournament, they slam OpTic on Saturday, and you're like, okay, I mean, pretty solid win for them. OpTic obviously are really struggling. Maybe they get some momentum versus Vancouver. Nope. They get 3-0, smoked out of the tournament in like 20 minutes by Vancouver. First map was pretty close, but a bunch of fumbles in the S&D, and then they got waxed on the protocol control. I just think that these guys are just, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a gameplay thing. I don't know if it's a mental thing, but they seem not to meet the big moments in these series, these important ones to really get on a run. Like, they're just on the edge of it. They have a good depth in their map pool. There are maps that teams don't or should not play them on. Skyline Hardpoint, for example. But like anytime these guys need to win a big series or a big map, they just can't really figure it out. So they still have the potential to be a thorn in everybody's side and get top 4 in an event. But I also won't be surprised, just like with all the other teams in the category, if they, bomb out of a tournament. Now, like I said, they're 2-2 and they have Vegas and OpTic coming up this week. So I think that 1-1 at minimum should be on the cards. And then Vancouver to finish things out on Pi Day, the 14th of March. I think they're probably looking like 3-4. I'm kind of assuming that OpTic make a roster change in this situation. It could be 4-3. I'm very curious to see what kind of seed they get for the Major 2 tournament, but I just don't know what to think of these guys. Don't think they need a roster change just yet. Ben Beans is playing well and had an absolute stinker against Vancouver, but they got to figure out how to get more consistency because this team should be playing better than the sum of its parts right now. We finally have 2 teams in that we have moved up to the Sunday regulars category. Let's talk about the Carolina Royal Ravens. I've been up and down about this squad, but there's one thing this team has proven is that they're fairly resilient. They had a nice victory 3-0 on Saturday versus LAG, and then they got 3-0 by Thieves on Sunday, and they kind of blew a big advantage in the Hacienda S&D, and then got bowled over last map. So I think just for Carolina, similar problem to Toronto, they're definitely good, but can they get over the hump and win like a big series? They did it in the Minor 1 tournament, make it to the finals of that and lose to FaZe. Like, we know they have it in it. I think there's enough resilience in this team throughout a tournament to battle and get top 4. They got top 2 at the Minor 1. They got top 4 at Major 1. They look good for, they got top 4 at, the Minor 2 tournament. Like, they're good enough to place well in these tournaments. Just need to win a big series on LAN. I have to move them up. I think they're a good form right now to make a good placing at Major 2. They're 2-2 right now, but they have a pretty easy split for the rest of those qualifiers. Cloud9 this weekend, Miami and Vegas. I think they're going to win 2 or 3 of those, so they'll make winners bracket. Just depends on the seed and who they play. What a run for the Vancouver Surge. Smoked Boston, beat FaZe in a very gritty game 5, super back and forth series. Toronto, they 3-0 smoked, and then went the distance with Thieves, taking the hard points in the series, but getting dirty Neslo'd. They actually won a nice red card S&D as well, but I fear for Vancouver. As good as Neptune's been, maybe a top 3 or top 5 player in this game, he kind of tweaked last map on that Skyline and made a lot of mistakes that allowed Thieves to take home the Minor 2 championship. So I think if you're a Vancouver fan, these guys are solidly in the top 3 conversation. I want to move them to the top of class. I think really the only kind of blocker on that is just seeing them if they can do what they're doing now at LAN, but they play a really good style of COD. Very aggressive. I think their S&D is maybe the one area of weakness we've seen in these series, but overall, I think a really good showing for them, and they're going to be good value to be a force at Major 2. They're currently 3-0 in the qualifiers. They have a rematch against Thieves on Friday, Miami on Sunday, and then Toronto, Minnesota on next weekend. So there's actually some good comp for them here because they're going to play a lot of good mid-pack teams that they can kind of work on some of the rough edges in their gameplay. They're probably going to get a top 4 seed, but they're going to probably have to beat Thieves or FaZe, you would think, in winners round 2 to get to the winners finals at Major 2. But I think it's doable. The way these guys are playing, they're a force right now, and of everybody else other than FaZe and Thieves, are the only other team right now that I would put money on to actually make the grand final of Major 2. So yeah, I mean, not much disruption at the top of the class. I think I'll move Thieves in front of FaZe just because at the moment they just won the Minor 2 tournament. I think for FaZe, a bit of an interesting kind of match against Vancouver. I think their S&D has really not been good this split, but 3 of those S&D losses out of 4 have all been to Vancouver. So I don't know what to think of it. I think, there's some rough edges in their gameplay. I think their Hasi hardpoint is got a lot of work, and that's an issue. A map mode combo for them, but they're so solid in other parts of the pool, and their vault, for example, hardpoint's gotten a lot better. I think there are some things that they need to clean up going into this Major 2 event, but they should be good value to get a top seed. Their only loss this entire split has been to Vancouver twice, both in the Minor tournament and the first match of the Major 2 qualifiers. Minnesota and Boston this weekend should win both. LAG, Cloud9 next weekend should win both, so I think they're gonna be a good value to be 6-1 and a top seed going in the tournament, but got to clean up a few things. Otherwise, these guys might not repeat as major champions and win that 3rd straight LAN event in a row. And then for Thieves, listen, I think for Thieves, what I love to see from them this split is that they have finally kind of conquered all 3 game modes. Their hardpoint was really, really good. Their control was really, really good going into the major one kind of LAN. But the S&D was a little bit wobbly, and it really hurt them in the series against FaZe in both the winners finals and grand finals. And in this split, they've just been kind of doing their thing in S&D. The control has been unbelievable. They've only dropped a handful of rounds, and they had some really nice control clutches versus Vancouver. I think Paco Hydra looks in form in S&D. And yeah, these guys are just in cruise control. Great map pool. You know, we see it at times from teams in a grand final. Their hardpoint got a little bit away from them in this one, but able to use their control in S&D as a clutch, and Dirty Neslo the crap out of Vancouver to win this one. So I tip that. Currently on a 6-game win streak, 3-0 in the qualifiers. They have an immediate trade situation against Vancouver on Friday, and then Boston on Saturday. So at worst, they're going 1-1 in Vancouver. Do get that one up on them in the rematch. And then OpTic in Minnesota the following weekend. Same thing as FaZe. Like at worst, I see Thieves being 6-1 top seed. Thieves, FaZe, and Vancouver. 2 of those 3 teams I think are making right now the finals of the major 2 event, barring some real shuffles in this full list. So let me know what you guys think in the comments of this tier list. I think it's pretty on point, but I'm curious your thoughts. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more. And as always, guys, we'll see you on the next one.